Right, hi everybody. I will be taking you through deploying ARM templates through TeamCity and Octopus Deploy to build a continuous integration environment as far as infrastructure is concerned. Okay, if you look at the above example, this is a relatively big ARM template to do with creating a network. Within this network, I have an actual virtual network, a gateway. Within this gateway, we have point-to-site connections, personal root certificates uploaded for 5 potential users as well. It also has subnets, 3 or 4 subnets, and this is all parameterized. So in other words, this network takes all of this information for how many subnets it needs to create, how many, what the name of those subnets are, what the certificates that need to be uploaded, the name of the gateway, and everything from parameters. The advantage of doing this is that I can run this through TeamCity and Octopus Deploy, and it can be the one script that actually goes from our development environment on towards the other environments and onto our production environment. That way, if I make a change and it's a very poor change and causes problems, it's not directly released to the production environment. It will actually go onto the development environment and fail. It will fail through the check-in, through the automated tests, or it will fail through the fact that it was configured badly, performs an action, something goes wrong, but it happens on development. Now, when that's fixed and everything goes right on development, the same code is then used again on the other environments, knowing that it's pre-tested. The only difference between those environments will be the parameters. So let me take you through this. So as you can see, all of these items here have parameters in them that are named. And this file itself, the network file, has a parameter file, and in this case it is called Environment Integration Management Network. This one, VN MSDN-network-param. So these are all the parameters that I'm actually setting for this network. Now it seems like a lot, and there is about 50. But when you take into effect that the actual network needs an IP range, each subnet needs an IP range, and it needs a name, the network needs a name, the gateway needs a name, the gateway needs a range, etc., etc., etc. Then you soon realize that it's actually not that many parameters. I've also included up to 10 potential point-to-site certificates can be added, and names for the person or the root of those certificates. So because there is a maximum of 10, this gives us an option of actually having the full amount of 10. Obviously, I control this by putting in how many actual certificates I actually want. So in this case, it's currently 4. That'll be 5 that I'm actually going to be using. Here also, I control the amount of subnets that I actually want. So I'll actually say that I want 4 subnets, including the gateway subnet. And if you look down, it's generally IP addresses and IP ranges and names. And here you can see I've all looped and I'm saying how many certificates I'm actually going to be using, because if you see, I'm using 5, but a large amount are blank that won't be used, but potentially will be used in the future. So it'd be very easy for me to just put in a name, put in the root certificate value, and then change that to 6. Okay, so let's have a look. Let's make a minor change, and then let's see what happens when I commit this to code. Okay, so I will go to here, and rather than change anything, I'll just add a space actually, and then remove it. So I'll now commit this to our code base. Hasn't recognized the change, so I will do something like that. Let's recognize the change. Commit and push. Okay, so this then goes off once I've logged in. Once I've logged in, this then goes off and obviously updates our code base. Once that's been updated, the next step is for TeamCity to recognise that the code base has changed, and then the first step would be to compile that code. Now, obviously, there's nothing to compile. If there was a website in there and etc. with these ARM templates, then there would be something to compile, but there's not really anything to compile. But what this does is it brings it out and it gives you the ability to perform tests on it. Either the automatic testing of the certificates that's available through the ARM templates, or any other testing that you really want to do. So what I've done, as you can see, it's recognised the change now. What I've done is to automate this part and get this to automatically run. So once it's recognised the change, it will run this through. Once it's run this through, this essentially it would, if it was code, compile it or test it. But what this essentially does for me is then make it available to the publish area. This makes it available to publish, and this publishes it to Octopus deploy. So once it's done this, and then it's gone through this and published it to Octopus deploy, which is also another automatic step, this will become available in Octopus deploy. So that's been done. So we now go to Octopus deploy, and I refresh just to make sure. This is the most recent one that's been deployed. It's, if I go to the environments, if I go to, the library, you will see that the actual package itself is called etz network.package that's being deployed. So let's go back here. What I've got is a set of steps, a set of processes that deploy ARM templates. Yeah, so it will deploy. A good example is the NSGs. Now, I could put the NSGs in a single template, or put it in even in the network templates for the development environment. But I decided to separate them out because we wanted the NSGs to be in different resource groups. So the deployments would be to associate to a different resource group. And the reason why is each environment was segregated by each resource groups, and I wanted to make sure that the resource groups went into the right, the NSGs went into the right resource group. NSGs and network security groups. So in this example, it's got, what it does is, as you can see, it's deploying to the int environment. Within this package, it has a file called NSG. And then it has a parameters file called integration NSG parameters. So the next one is the management network, which also needs an NSG, but as you can see, it's the same NSG file, it's the same code file to generate NSGs, but it just has different parameters. And those different parameters would be, for instance, the ports to open and the name of the NSG. So if we go back, this also, if we go to the process again, this also is the same with the network. So if I go down to deploy MSDN network, and you can see there's also deploy that network, the production network, you can see that you've got network JSON file and a VN MSDN network parameters file. Yeah, but then if you go down to the production network, you'll also notice that it's the same file that is being used to create our production network. And I already spoke about the benefits of doing this. So what I can do is then click deploy and actually deploy this, the changes that I necessarily made. Obviously I haven't done any changes, but since ARM is idempotent, it will recognize that no changes have been made and nothing will actually happen if no changes are made. But if I have made a change, an IP address change, a name change, it would make those changes, and obviously they will be reflected within Azure. If there was deleted items, a server being deleted, or they'd been changed through the portal, it would correct those items during this deployment as well. So as you can see, it's going through, deploying these items slowly through. And then the next stage would be for me to click deploy to prod. Once this had been through testing. either automated. Obviously, with this being successful, it means that it's definitely gone through and the changes have been accepted by the portal, the ARM template's correct. It would be then up to me to make sure that actually the changes that I wanted to actually happen were there. And after a period of necessary testing, then you can deploy this to the production environment with the confidence that these changes are exactly what you wanted to deploy to the production environment. I hope this explains what I've been trying to do, and hopefully that gives you an insight into it. Okay, thank you.